Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day, and above all else, that you're indeed looking after yourselves and one another. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to another segment of album anniversaries. Now, I'm flying solo for this episode because for me, the band and the album I'm going to be talking about are very special. The band is the Tea Party, and the album we're going to be talking about is their second major label release, The Edges of Twilight. Now, just a bit about the Tea Party. They are a trio from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. The band consists of Jeff Martin on lead vocals, guitars, and various instruments, Stuart Chatwood on bass guitar, keyboards, mellotron, various instruments, and Jeff Burrows on drums, percussion, and various instruments. Now, The Edges of Twilight is their follow-up release to their 1993 major label debut, Splendor Solace. It was released on March 28th, 1995 through EMI Music Canada and through Chrysalis Records. Can never say that right. Chrysalis Records in the US and in Europe. The album was recorded at A&M Studios in Los Angeles, California, and the album was produced by Tea Party lead singer, guitarist, multi-instrumentalist Jeff Martin, who would go on to produce all of their albums, and Ed Stasium. Now, Ed Stasium is also responsible for the production on Living Colour's debut release, Vivid. There were four singles released from The Edges of Twilight. Those singles are Fire in the Head, fantastic lead-off track and lead single, The Bizarre, Shadows on the Mountainside, and The Exquisite Sister Awake. Now, anybody out there watching the channel knows that I am a huge fan of the Tea Party. The Tea Party pretty much burst on the scene in 1993 with their major label debut, Splendor Solace, with the lead-off single and track, The River. Now, uh, the Tea Party for me, when I first heard them, and I've told this story before, the way I heard of the Tea Party was I was um, sitting at home watching TV with my headphones on, listening to my Walkman. The TV was on mute, and I saw a video on mute for the song The River. And at the same time, I was listening to Led Zeppelin's 4 CD Mammoth box set that came out in 1990. So I found that very odd because if you know the Tea Party's music, you know that they are heavily influenced by Led Zeppelin. And I was blown away. And for me, the Canadian rock music scene had changed forever because for me, if it wasn't for the Tea Party, I don't know where I would have been because, in my very humble opinion, the Tea Party pretty much saved Canadian classic rock. All right. Now, with the release of The Edges of Twilight, it was much anticipated. And I should also say that the album is quite lengthy. It has a playing time of 67 minutes and 21 seconds. There are 12 tracks in total. And um, what I found out when I was doing research for this episode is that the Tea Party had already written and recorded The Edges of Twilight while they were doing the press tour for Splendor Solace. So at this point in time, they were quite prolific and quite speedy in the recording uh, routine and ethic. They were quite serious about their music and they wanted to be considered as a viable force on the Canadian rock music scene. Actually, the rock music scene internationally, all over the world. And they are quite big in Australia. That was their first major acceptance in Australia. And the acceptance in Australia has just gone from strength to strength. This album, The Edges of Twilight, was considered to be, or it's supposed to be, their major label debut and breakthrough album in the US. And it garnered quite some attention, not a lot of attention, but it did garner some attention. Now, the album starts off with the track Fire in the Head. Fantastic acoustic guitar work from Jeff Martin, and his baritone vocal range is just beautiful, very lush, very deep, very rich. And he delivers the vocal on this track with such veracity and power over the top, but he keeps it in control. And the musicianship on this track, the drums are just fantastic. What I like about this album overall is it has a very big, rich, thick, textured sound in terms of the drums, in terms of the instrumentation that they used. And I should say too that while they were traveling and touring for Splendor Solis, they would stop in the music shops on their travels and pick up Middle Eastern instruments and learn to play them on their own, like the dobro, the sitar, etc. This album is simply fantastic. After Fire in the Head comes the second single from the album, The Bazaar. Beautiful instrumentation, beautiful percussion from Jeff Burrows. A lot of use of hurdy-gurdy on this track and very ornate guitar work. Fantastic thick guitar tone that Jeff Martin has. Beautifully done. Very short track, 3 minutes, 42 seconds. It segues into the third track, Correspondences, clocking in at 7 minutes and 28 seconds. Now, Jeff Martin has gone on to say that Correspondences is his favorite track from the album. Beautiful, lush piano work done by Stuart Chatwood. Exquisite, very subtle guitar passages at the beginning of the track. Just very intoxicating vocals delivered by Jeff Martin. There's no other way to describe it. And when I first heard this track, I was pulled in, and very again, very lush, very atmospheric arrangement of the track, and it takes you on a journey. It takes you on a journey. You literally can sit back and like lay back on the couch, close your eyes, and you are gone. You are flying. Okay. Up next, after Correspondences, is the instrumental piece, The Badger, clocking in at 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Now, for me, when I hear the intro of this track, it almost feels like the dawn of the day, like, the sun coming up in the morning. You're getting up, you go to the window, you look outside, you see the sun coming up, and you feel um just like at the beginning of something, the start of something, right? Any mistakes that were made or any errors that were made or any bad experiences that happened the day before are forgotten because it's a brand new day and it's a time to regenerate and start anew. And that's what I feel like when I hear this track, the instrumental. Beautiful work with the use of the hurdy-gurdy, sorry, from Stuart Chatwood. Beautiful acoustic guitar done by Jeff Martin. He is a master of the guitar. He has a really gentle touch when he needs to, but in other instances, when he needs to shred and give a fantastic guitar solo, he delivers every bloody time. After the Badger comes the track Silence, beautifully done, short track, 2 minutes and 51 seconds, very sharp, very distinct, very strong vocals from Jeff Martin, and a fantastic breakdown section on this track. Beautiful acoustic guitars and just uh, great percussion overdubs done by uh, Jeff Burrows. And after Silence, we come to Sister Awake, the final release, single released from the album, 5 minutes and 43 seconds. This track, for me, is pretty much the centerpiece of the album. The story of this track is that they used 52 instruments in the recording of this one track. They needed to sync up three recording machines in order to house all the instrumentation that went on this track. It is simply sublime. It, you know, the use of sitar, the use of acoustic guitar, the use of, you know, uh, percussion, the different sections of the track, the fantastic bass work, that Stuart Chatwood does on this, and the fantastic, like powerful vocals that Jeff Martin delivers. And it is just simply sublime. I am not kidding you. Again, I'm just thinking about how it must have been to mix this one track with 52 instruments, having to deal, having to use on the console and having to, it must have been daunting to have to properly represent every single instrument that went into the recording of this track. It is fantastic. Side two, um, this is where we get into the more blues oriented stuff, and it's fan bloody tastic. What I love about the Tea Party and with this album and with every album that they did, but we're talking about the Edges of Twilight, so I'm going to focus on this album. The instrumentation comes in full, rich, lush, bombastic, like you would not believe. And side two of this album is evidence of that. It starts off with Turn the Lamp Down Low, 5 minutes and 16 seconds, and just fantastic, thick, rich guitar tone and soloing done by Jeff Martin. Beautiful drum work and percussion from Jeff Burrows. Just a monster, just blazing, just beautiful. Up next is the third single release from the album, Shadows on the Mountainside, at 3 minutes and 39 seconds. Uh, Beautiful acoustic guitars, really gentle, lush vocals done by Jeff Martin. Beautiful, just beautiful. After Shadows on the Mountainside comes the track Drawing Down the Mood. Again, heavy drums, full heavy sound, like full rich sound on the snare and bass drums. Brian May said that for Queen, the best way for them to get a full drum sound was to strategically place mics around the studio. Not all of them around the drum kit. You place certain mics strategically around the studio so that you get the full rich sound. You get the reverberation coming off the walls uh, onto the mics. And I'm sure that this is how the band recorded their albums, and it works. What makes the Tea Party unique to me is their recording style and their originality in the way they approach the recording. Now, people are going to say, yes, you know, they're going to say, sorry, that the Tea Party are basically taking influences from Led Zeppelin and other bands that, came before them. You know what? Tell me what band that really doesn't on some level. And, unfortunately, the band were unfavorably compared to the Doors and Led Zeppelin. While when you've got a lead singer like Jeff Martin, who is a baritone in his range and has such a powerful voice, the comparisons are going to be inevitable. And like Bill Schuster said, who does shows with me, he prefers Jeff Martin's vocals or voice over Jim Morrison. And I got to agree. Jeff Martin is a bloody master, and his technique and his delivery vocally in the studio and instrumentally as well. Drawing Down the Moon, as I was saying, again, 5 minutes and 26 seconds. Fantastic, thick, rich guitar tone, intricate drum patterns on this track. Beautifully done. Heavy as all get out. You know what I mean? But beautifully done. Just amazing. Up next is the piece In Anna. And it starts off very sort of, I don't want to say tranquil, but it has a keyboard piece. I would say a use of Mellotron that starts off very sort of, I guess, eerie, because you don't know what's going to happen next. And then the instrumentation comes in, the drums and the vocals come in, very subtle, very sort of peaceful, but very intricate nonetheless, right? And then on the final section of the track of the chorus, the band come in full. The drums come in bombastic and full. Jeff Martin comes in with his vocal on the chorus heavy, and all hell breaks loose. Okay, the guitars are coming in heavy, the sitars are coming in heavy, the finger cymbals are coming in heavy, like like for percussion and ornamentation, and it's bombastic, over the top, whatever you want to call it. It effing works. No word of a lie. Um, Up next, after Inanna, comes the track Coming Home, 5 minutes and 53 seconds. Beautiful, beautiful. Uh, Heavy guitars, really thick guitar tone that Jeff Martin has. He's exquisite on the guitar. He has a very unique style in terms of his guitar tone. But again, very thick, very heavy, but very melodic and harmonic on the guitars. The album ends with the track Walk With Me. This is split up. There's a hidden track after this, but Walk With Me clocks in at just over 7 minutes. Uh, Beautiful, heavy drumming on this track, very ornate guitar work. There's multi sections to it, but it's heavy nonetheless. Beautiful, heavy drums, multiple sections, as I said. Heavy bass that comes in, and beautiful, thick, rich guitars on the choruses. And Jeff Martin delivers a vocal that it just kicks you in the ribs. You know, he has a delivery that I I do believe is underrated. And I do believe he's underrated as a guitarist as well. His ability on the guitar, on the sitar, on the dobro, any instrument that he tackles, he masters. And for this album, it's no different. It is simply fantastic. After Walk With Me, there's a break, a few minutes of silence, and then comes in an instrumental piece featuring guitars and very beautiful, lush piano from Stuart Chatwood, and features a spoken word piece by Roy Harper. Now, Jeff Martin and the band and Roy Harper would strike up a friendship, and Jeff Martin would do some production work on Roy Harper's album, The Green Man, in 2000. Apparently, they worked together for 2 weeks, Roy Harper would say. And yeah, I mean, this album, The Edges of Twilight, you really need to listen to it. And it's a simply fantastic album. Hard rocking, with the Middle Eastern influences, but I don't believe that the Middle Eastern instrumentation on this album detracts from the hard rock blues influence on this album at all. In 2015, the band released a double disc and a 20th anniversary edition of The Edges of Twilight. The second disc features some live tracks from the BBC, some demos, and some unreleased stuff released through Universal Music. And I picked up my copy, and I think it's simply fantastic. I think if they could release a box set of this, of all the stuff that they wrote and recorded for these sessions, I would snap it up. You know how there are certain artists that you want to get box sets from, like Prince or Roxy Music. For me, as a fan of the Tea Party, I would want a box set of every single album that they released. Uh, you know, studio, session tracks, demos, live stuff, anything that was related to any particular release, I would want to grab. So there you have it, guys. 30th album anniversaries, celebrating the Tea Parties, The Edges of Twilight. Please check it out. If you don't have the album yet, what are you waiting for? It's a fantastic album. Please check it out. You can stream it on YouTube, and you can get the albums on Discogs, on eBay, on on Amazon.ca, Amazon.com.co.uk for a decent price. So again, please let me know if you know of this album. Please put your comments down below what you think of the Edges of Twilight or any of the Tea Party's albums. They are at this moment I believe putting the finishing touches on a brand new album that will be coming out this year. I am stoked for that album. I swear to God. Um, it's one of the most anticipated albums for me in 2025. So again, please check out the album, and once you have, or if you know of this album, let me know what you think of the album down in the comments. And that's it for now, guys. Please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content I've got coming up. All right. I will see you soon with more episodes. Bye for now.